JBN, we keep you informed. 5 shot, 2 fatally in Greenwich town. The Western Kingston police are investigating a gun attack that left 2 dead and 3 injured last night in Greenwich town. It is reported that gunmen struck at 8th Street in the community about 11 p.m., killing 37-year-old Jalil McBean, otherwise called Balotelli, of 1B 8th Street, Greenwich town address, and Shamar Neal, 22, of a Southborough Portmore St. Catherine address. 3 other men, all in their 20s, were shot and injured. We understand that the men were among a group in the community that came under attack by unknown assailants. The attackers then escaped following the shooting. The police division has seen an 87% increase in murders. Up to May 31, the division recorded 43 homicides, up from 20 for the corresponding period last year. M16 rifle, several rounds of ammunition seized in St. James. An M16 rifle and several rounds of ammunition were seized during police operations in St. James over the past 48 hours. The police report that about 3:30 p.m. on Tuesday, members of the St. James Proactive Investigation Unit and the Operational Support Team conducted an operation in Norwood in the parish when several men were seen running from a premises. Checks were made on a Colt M16 rifle with a magazine containing 3 5.56 rounds of ammunition was found. 1 ballistic vest and several sheets of paper containing names, addresses, and telephone numbers of persons living overseas were also found. Meanwhile, in Glendavon, also in St. James, about 12:30 p.m. on Monday, a police team conducted another operation and 1.40 cartridge was found on a dirt track. No one was arrested in connection with the seizures. Portland records 4th murder. The Portland police are investigating the shooting death of a man on Wednesday, right near his house in Buff Bay. He is 57-year-old Desmond Prince, otherwise called Barber. Portland's Crime Chief Detective Inspector Linton Bailey says reports have indicated that shortly after 9 o'clock, the deceased was at the entrance to his house when he was shot. Bailey says Prince was pounced upon by a gunman who opened fire, hitting him in the head. When the police arrived, he was found lying on his back, bleeding from the mouth, nostrils, and the back of the head. He was rushed to hospital where he was pronounced dead on arrival. This latest murder comes after Monday's gruesome discovery of a headless body of 74-year-old farmer Fitzroy Buckley in the community of Reach in East Portland. Portland has recorded 4 murders since the start of 2020. 4th political party applies to be registered in Jamaica. The Electoral Commission of Jamaica, ECJ, is now reviewing an application for the registration of the Jamaica Progressive Party, JPP, as Jamaica's 4th political party. The JPP made the application last week and, once approved, will be eligible to field candidates for the next general election. Director of Elections Glaspole Brown said the registrar of political party is going through the process to see whether the political organization has satisfied all the registration requirements. In the interim, though, a notification will be put in the press for the public, and the public will have 30 days to indicate any objection to the registration of the political party, Brown said. He said this notification is expected to be published Thursday. Gilbert Edwards will be the president for the party, while Pastor Robert Rainford is the authorized representative. The party's slogan is "A Prosperous Jamaica for All," and its identifying colors are gray, purple, and lavender. Last year, the United Independence Congress was registered as Jamaica's 3rd political party. It is based in Bogue, St. Elizabeth, and is led by Joseph Patterson. Jamaica's other registered political parties are the People's National Party and the Jamaica Labour Party. Brothers killed in Augustown. Tired of the continued bloodshed, a resident of Augustown said that she is now so fearful she has contemplated taking her own life. Why them kill the innocent youth them? Me afraid to the point where me feel like committing suicide. It was the police who encouraged me and tell me not to do it. Me get depressed every time night come, and me wish every day was daylight, she wailed. The ongoing violence claimed 2 of her neighbors yesterday. According to police reports, about 7 a.m. brothers Damar Francis, 36, and Robert Clark, 25, were in their yard when they were shot by gunmen bearing high-powered weapons. I was in bed when me hear the shots. Me cry out because me honestly think that it was my daughter. Then me hear my daughter bawl out and me realize says Demar and Robert get shot, she said. The two man them innocent. Them never do anything to deserve this. Death has also stalked the men in the woman's home for the past 2 years. She tearfully remembered her grandson who was shot and killed in 2018. Him was my best grandson. He never give me any trouble, and the day when me hear see them kill him is like part of me dead too, she said. She stated that she and her family have been receiving death threats from men in the community for a while. But I plan for rent the house then because we say we have to move. Some of my family move already. At nights, me never used to sleep in the front house because me afraid. People always tell we see them hear footsteps at nights, so we need to be careful. Me very afraid, she said. She stated that the family has been targeted because of a relative who has been mixed up in a string of illegal activities. In mourning the brothers, the resident implored the gunmen to cease fire. Put down on a weapon and take up on a Bible, please. Remember, every time you kill somebody, it is somebody belly pain you are killing, she wailed as she rubbed her stomach in anguish. Security personnel later escorted the embattled family from the yard. Member of Parliament for Eastern St. Andrew, Favour Williams, implored residents not to get weary. Please don't give up, because long-lasting peace is worth fighting for. I am very concerned, because these type of things always lead to reprisals, and the people are here expecting gunmen to strike again. When these revenge killings happen, these killers don't care who the stray shot will hit. So can you imagine the psychological toll this is taking on law-abiding residents, she said. Last Friday, an 8-year-old was shot and the grandmother was saying that the child ran under the bed and still got shot. I just can't imagine growing up in a community where gunshots are the order of the day, so we have to intervene in a way to break this cycle. Courts under fire as inmate held for 40 years dies without trial. Jamaica's courts are being blamed for human rights crisis at correctional facilities after an independent Commission of Investigations Indicom report unearthed that an 81-year-old man died in the custody of a facility after a 40-year wait for trial. Noel Chambers was one of 146 mentally ill people being held by the Department of Correctional Services without trial, Commissioner of Indicom Terence Williams has said. Williams made the revelation at the Commission's quarterly media briefing on Wednesday. Chambers, whose body bore bed sores and bites from bed bugs, had been held at the pleasure of the Governor General after being charged with murder on February 4, 1980. He died in January 2020. An inmate is detained at the pleasure of the Queen, the Governor General, or the court if that person is unfit to plead or is found guilty but is suffering from a mental disorder. However, since 2007, when the Criminal Justice Administration Act was amended to outlaw imprisonment at the Governor General's pleasure, anyone detained on mental health grounds is held at the court's pleasure. But despite officially being passed fit to plead several times over his 4-decade incarceration at the Tower Street Adult Correctional Center, Chambers was never brought before a judge. Indicom uncovered that 9 other inmates have been declared fit to plead, but they too have not been placed before a judge. The commission also found that at least 15 inmates have been imprisoned for more than 30 years without being tried. But senior human rights attorney Nancy Anderson has pointed fingers at the courts for the horror. There is very little that the correctional facilities can do. They take the orders of the court. A person is sent to them with an order to stay. They are to be held for a certain amount of years or indefinitely, said Anderson, who declined to cast culpability at the feet of administrators of correctional facilities. I blame the courts for the situation that exists in those correctional centers, Anderson said yesterday. The Commissioner of Corrections is required by law to produce a monthly report on inmates who have been deemed fit to plead. Since 2007, with the assistance of the Ministry of Health and Wellness, there have been mental health clinics throughout the island where suspected people can be treated without incarcerating them. But it's the courts that send them to the correctional centers. Correctional centers do not go out and pick up somebody. The only persons they get are those persons sent with orders from the courts, Anderson explained. The attorney said that judges need to familiarize themselves with mental health clinics so that accused persons suffering from mental illness can be evaluated and treated. The law requires them to have 2 doctors' reports before they can send anyone to prison, but that also is not always followed, said Anderson, who also pressed for bail to be considered for mentally ill persons. That is the way to deal with it, not to send them to one of those dreadful correctional centers, she added. Anderson, who has for decades worked to free mentally ill inmates lost in the system, has suggested that correctional centers employ psychiatrists if they are going to hold people who are intellectually or otherwise challenged. There is no psychiatrist employed to the correctional centers. There is only one I know of who gives seasonal work. That's not sufficient, she insisted. The attorney is also recommending that judges and clerks of court undergo training on procedures available to them to administer justice in cases involving persons with mental illness. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.